A king's impossible choice, a moment in history when the fate of a nation rested on the heart of one man. Imagine being born to rule, every moment of your life preparing you for the throne. From the earliest days, Edward was surrounded by the rituals and expectations of royalty, his every step watched by the world. This was Prince Edward's destiny, handsome, popular, and the embodiment of a new era. He was seen as a modern monarch, charming the public and bringing a fresh energy to the royal family. Yet, when the crown was finally his, he faced a choice no monarch had ever confronted: duty or love. The weight of centuries of tradition pressed down on him, but his heart pulled him in another direction. The woman he loved, Wallis Simpson, was an American divorcee, unacceptable for a king and head of the Church of England. Their relationship was scandalous, whispered about in drawing rooms and splashed across newspaper headlines. The government and church were clear: you can be king or you can marry Mrs. Simpson, but not both. The nation watched, divided and anxious as the crisis deepened. In December 1936, Edward made his decision. He gave up the throne, the palaces, and the title of His Majesty. He chose love over power, a decision that stunned the world and changed the course of British history. In a radio address heard around the world, he explained, he could not carry the burden of responsibility without the woman he loved by his side. His words echoed through living rooms and across continents, forever remembered. I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do without the help and support of the woman I love. His story became a defining moment of the 20th century, a tale of romance, rebellion, and the clash between ancient tradition and modern desire. The world watched as a king became a man, choosing his own path. It was a fairy tale in reverse. The prince gave up the kingdom for love. Instead of gaining a crown, he walked away from it, hand in hand with Wallis, into an uncertain future. Edward's choice shook the monarchy and sent shockwaves across the globe. The abdication crisis forced the world to reconsider what it meant to be royal and what it meant to be true to oneself. Nearly a century later, it still asks, what is the true price of happiness? Where does duty end and self begin? The echoes of Edward's decision still resonate, challenging us to consider our own values. For Edward, these weren't abstract questions, they changed history. His sacrifice and his love story remain a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest acts of courage are those of the heart. Before the scandal that would change the course of British history, Prince Edward, affectionately known as David to his family, was considered the world's most eligible bachelor. His charm and status made him a figure of fascination and admiration across the globe. Born in 1894 as the eldest son of King George V, Edward's childhood was marked by strict and formal upbringing. Despite this, he grew into a charming, charismatic young man, admired by many for his poise and elegance. As the Prince of Wales, he became a global celebrity, touring the vast British Empire and captivating crowds everywhere he went. His presence was magnetic, drawing people in with his easy smile and approachable demeanor. He was not just a royal figure, but a fashion icon, a symbol of hope and renewal after the devastation of the war. Yet, behind the glamour and the public adoration, there was a restless spirit yearning for something more. Edward felt stifled by the rigid expectations of royal life, preferring the lively atmosphere of jazz clubs and the thrill of fast cars to the solemnity of court ceremonies. His heart longed for freedom and adventure. His numerous affairs with married women were a source of great concern for his father, King George V, who feared these indiscretions could jeopardize the monarchy's future stability and reputation. Edward longed for a life of freedom and love on his own terms, an impossible dream for a future king bound by duty and tradition. He found himself caught in a struggle between the ancient demands of the monarchy and the modern world he so desperately craved to be a part of. This internal tension would eventually explode into a full-blown crisis when he met Wallis Simpson, the one woman he felt he couldn't live without, setting the stage for a dramatic chapter in royal history. Wallis Simpson, sharp, witty, and American, would change British history forever. By 1931, she was on her second marriage and moving in London's elite circles. Edward met her at a party, and though unimpressed at first, he soon became infatuated. Wallis treated him as a man, not a prince, teasing, challenging, and never deferential. He showered her with gifts, and by 1934, their affair was an open secret. But Wallis was married, and her history as a divorcee made her unacceptable as queen. The monarch was also head of the Church of England, which forbade remarriage after divorce. Edward was blind to the barriers, determined to have Wallace by his side. His family was horrified, the British press stayed silent, but foreign tabloids spread the scandal. As long as his father lived, the crisis simmered in private, but the stage was set for disaster. The storm was gathering. In January 1936, King George V died, and Edward became king. His relationship with Wallace was now a national crisis. He broke protocol, appearing with her at his accession, signaling she was central to his reign. In October, Wallace's divorce became imminent, and Edward told Prime Minister Gwyneth Baldwin he would marry her. The government and Commonwealth leaders were horrified. They would never accept Queen Wallace. Rumors swirled about Wallace's character and even her loyalties. Edward proposed a morganatic marriage. She'd be his wife, but not queen. The answer was a unanimous no. The king's wife was the queen, period. Edward was given a stark choice: abandon Wallace and remain king, or marry her and abdicate. There was no middle ground. The monarchy's stability was at stake. The government stood firm. Edward was trapped between love and duty. The crisis was about to reach its breaking point. December 1936, Britain was in turmoil as the truth emerged. Some supported Edward's right to love. Others saw betrayal of duty. Wallace fled to France, hounded by the press. Edward, isolated at Fort Belvedere, met with family and officials, searching for a way out. The government threatened to resign if he defied them, risking a constitutional disaster. Realizing there was no solution, Edward signed the instrument of abdication on December 10th. His reign lasted just 326 days. He was never crowned. His brother Albert became King George VI, unexpectedly thrust onto the throne. The next night, Edward addressed the nation. He could not carry the burden of kingship without the woman he loved. He pledged loyalty to his brother, then left England for exile. The monarchy survived, but nothing would ever be the same. The world watched as a king gave up everything for love. Behind the headlines were real people in turmoil. Edward was emotionally dependent on Wallace, unable to imagine life without her. Wallace, often painted as ambitious, was overwhelmed. Her letters show panic and a willingness to end things to save Edward's crown. The royal family was deeply wounded. King George VI and Queen Elizabeth never forgave Edward. The new king struggled with the burden, and the Queen Mother blamed Edward for her husband's early death. Edward and Wallace's life in exile was glamorous, but empty. Lavish parties, but no real purpose. Their 1937 visit to Nazi Germany fueled rumors and damaged their reputation. They lived in luxury, but as outsiders, forever defined by the choice that changed history. The rift in the royal family never truly healed. The abdication of King Edward VIII sent shockwaves through Britain and the world, shaking the very foundations of the monarchy. Yet, in a twist of fate, this crisis ultimately made the royal institution stronger and more resilient than ever before. King George VI stopper thou back and gristams and thou duro and dapper sucker stun Bendaka Traum's thrust unexpectedly onto the throne, faced immense pressure. With Queen Elizabeth steadfastly by his side, he restored public trust in the monarchy through unwavering duty and remarkable courage, especially during the darkest days of World War II, when their presence among bombed-out Londoners inspired hope and unity. Their example redefined the monarchy, transforming it into a symbol of stability, service, and sacrifice. This powerful legacy was passed on to their daughter Queen Elizabeth II, who would carry the torch into a new era, guiding the nation through decades of change. Meanwhile, Edward and Wallace married quietly in France, shunned by the royal family and British society. They lived a life of leisure and exile, far from the responsibilities and privileges of the crown, their love story forever shadowed by controversy. During the war, Edward was given a minor post as governor of the Bahamas, a role that kept him distant from real power. He never regained a meaningful place in royal affairs, remaining on the sidelines of history. In later years, Edward became a peripheral figure, a ghost from the monarchy's past. He and Wallace moved through high society, but their influence had faded, and they watched the world change from afar. Edward died in 1972, with Wallace following in 1986. Their final years were marked by quiet reflection and the enduring bond that had cost them so much. They are buried together at Frogmore side by side, a quiet reminder of the king who gave up an empire for love and the woman for whom he made that sacrifice. Their story remains a dramatic and cautionary footnote in royal history, a tale of passion, duty, and the high cost of personal choice. The monarchy survived by embracing duty over personal desire, learning from the past, and forging a new path forward. Edward's sacrifice forced the crown to adapt, ushering in a new era of responsibility and public service for the royal family. The House of Windsor would never be the same, forever shaped by the choices and challenges of this extraordinary chapter in its history. Edward and Wallace's story is a timeless conflict, love versus duty. Was Edward a romantic hero or a derelict king? His choice remains controversial. For some, he proved happiness is worth any price. For others, he failed his country in a time of need. His brother's reign showed the power of sacrifice and service. The monarchy's survival depended on adapting to new values. Edward's dilemma is universal, the struggle between personal desire and public responsibility. History is shaped by such choices, by individuals, not just institutions. The king who gave up his crown reminds us, the search for meaning and love is at the heart of every life.